April is nationally recognized as Fair Housing Month and marks the 47th anniversary of the 1968 landmark Fair Housing Act. In observance of Fair Housing Month, the MinorityEye stopped by the South Carolina Fair Housing Center to speak with the Executive Director, Tina Brown, to discuss the center's mission in South Carolina and their upcoming community fair. Ms. Brown, thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about your role with South Carolina Fair Housing and the mission of the organization?
Well, I'm currently the Executive Director of the South Carolina Fair Housing Center. We officially opened in September of 2013. I came on board in December of 2013. Our role is we are a statewide organization here to enforce the Federal Fair Housing Act. And so we do that through a number of ways. We do community education and outreach, we do advocacy, we do enforcement. And enforcement is where we accept complaint intakes for individuals who believe they may have experienced fair housing discrimination. We have an intake line. That line is open Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. We also do fair housing testing, where we essentially call our fair housing testers the mystery shoppers of the housing world. And we also do training and promotion of best practices. So that's kind of the Fair Housing Center in a nutshell.
Okay. Now, in this day and time, does your organization still receive a lot of complaints here in South Carolina?
We do still receive complaints. The complaints are majority disability related, and that's typically the standard across the country. 54% of all fair housing complaints are disability related. But there are a number of issues that arise, issues with national origin, individuals who have accents, who are trying to find housing and they're receiving hang-up phone calls. We have victims of domestic violence who are covered under the Fair Housing Act because domestic violence is largely perpetuated against women. So for gender purposes, we protect them also. And so those issues are very rampant, where you have a woman who has been evicted because she has an abuser who perhaps kicked down her door or broke her windows, and so she's evicted because of his actions. Well, that's a fair housing issue. So those issues, and the Fair Housing Act is very broad. The definition of what is a dwelling under the act is very broad. It includes homeless shelters, migrant housing, seasonal housing, dormitories. All types of housing are really covered. So we want people to know that it's really broad, it offers a lot of protection, and we think that that will increase the number of complaints across the spectrum of what the protected classes are.
Okay. Could you expound a little bit? If someone was to call you with a complaint, kind of walk us through what type of services would your organization be able to provide that person?
Okay, so when someone calls us with a complaint, we first do the intake process. And so throughout the intake process, we get some basic information from the complainant, we get their demographic information, and then we get the facts of the situation. So we want to know what has happened, when it occurred, what type of relief are you seeking, or what type of request have you made to your housing provider. And from there, we do some investigation. We look into the matter, we review any pertinent paperwork. We may do some testing for that particular situation, just depending upon the circumstances. And from there, we can make contact with that housing provider to attempt to resolve that situation. I can give you an example. We had an individual who came to us. She had limited vision. And so as a part of her limited vision, she had stairs leading up to her doorway where she was renting. And so she had put little LED, the string lights on her stairs to help her see going in and out. Her apartment came under new management, and they requested that she take the lights down because it was not aesthetically pleasing. And so she did that, but she was told, well, you're going to be able to put up new lighting. Well, that 2 months passed. It never came to fruition. She fell twice coming in and out of her apartment. And so she filed a complaint with our office, and we were able to review her information, do the intake process, and then go to the housing provider with a reasonable accommodation request and demand that they allow her to reinstall her lights, which they did within roughly about 3 or 4 days. She was able to have her issue resolved.
Okay. So tell me about what you guys have an event coming up. Tell us a little bit about the event.
Well, April is National Fair Housing Month, so we want to make sure during this month if in no other month, although we do it 12 months a year. But in this month in particular, we want to emphasize what is fair housing. What are your rights? The theme of Fair Housing Month is something that HUD sets forward, and the theme is fair housing is your right, enforce it. So you have to not only know your rights, but you have to enforce them. So we're having 2 events specifically here, sponsored by the Fair Housing Center. The first will be on April the 16th. It's going to be here at our office from 6 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. And our office is located at 1925 Bull Street here in Columbia. That event is entitled Fair Housing in the Headlines, Separating Fact from Fiction. So fair housing has been in the headlines a lot this year, largely because of a case that is pending before the United States Supreme Court about disparate impact. And so we want to talk about some of those issues, talk about the relevance of fair housing to this day, and engage the community in knowing what type of feedback do they have, what type of concerns do they have, how can we better assist and serve them, and also go through some of our testing information as well. And individuals who may want to join us in becoming fair housing testers can apply during that time also. We will also be having an event on April the 18th, which we are partnering with the City of Columbia Office of Community Development. This will be at Earlwood Park. Earlwood Park is located at 1111 Parkside Drive here in Columbia. That event will be from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. It's going to be lots of things available for families, for their children. We'll have free books for children pre-K through 12th grade. We'll have free food. We will have the Keaton High School Drumline is going to be there. USC's mascot Cocky is going to be there from 1 until 2. So that window time. So if people want to come out, get a picture with Cocky, they'll have to come early. We will also have some other service providers like MinorityEye. They will be there with information. The HIV/AIDS Awareness Council will be there also. So it's going to be a lot of things going on that day, a lot of information, fair housing information, general resources. So we're really encouraging people to come out, spend some time with us, bring their families, have a little bit of fun, and just enjoy that day.
Okay. Well, Ms. Brown, thank you for taking the time to sit down with us. Before we leave, could you leave us with some contact information in case somebody wants to reach out to your office to find out more information?
You can contact the center at 803-403-8447. Our intake line is 1-885-665-8549. And again, that intake line is open Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. And we also have a pretty active presence on Facebook, Twitter. We put out information almost daily. So if individuals want to join us there and take part in some of our information, we put announcements out, various things. And we have a mailing list as well. So if anybody wants to join our mailing list, they can send an email to our program coordinator, Sean Roberson. His email is sroberson@ncrc.org. So a variety of ways to contact us, and always people can just come on in. So any place in the state, you can come in, you can call. We'll be happy to talk with you.
Okay. Ms. Brown, thank you.
Thank you.